what's the right stipend to be paid to the interns? I don't want them to see interns as cheap labor.
Can you share any trick by which you can grow your startup ASAP? There is no such trick. If someone is giving you that trick, then stop watching those videos.
First of all, many congratulations to all of us on India's historical landing on moon. Ooh, what an inspirational story. There's so many lessons from that story itself, but that's a session for another day. Today I have with me Prateek Maheshwari, Prateek, co-founder of PhysicsWallah and a very dear friend. I don't think either Prateek or PhysicsWallah needs any introduction. But I think what is lesser known about Prateek and PhysicsWallah, one, Prateek is a serial entrepreneur. So PhysicsWallah is not his first venture, it's actually his fifth venture. He started with Edu for All when he was in college, and then a couple of ventures in food and beverage sector. And his last venture before co-founding PhysicsWallah was Pen Pencil, which eventually led him to meet Alak sir, and then rest, as we say, his history. And PhysicsWallah, the startup story is very well known, but when I met Prateek, I got to know the roles interns played in building PhysicsWallah, and I think that was super fascinating, super exciting story for me that I want to personally bring out to the world, and which is why I requested Prateek sir to give us time for today's session, and being the kind-hearted, noble soul that he is, he very quickly agreed. So thank you so much, Prateek. Really appreciate you taking time out for our community and for helping all of us understand the power of interns.
Thank you, Sarvesh sir, for inviting me on this very first episode. Hello guys, how are you? So much excitement in the chat, so many hearts flowing around. Happy to discuss, chat with you, interact with you. And it's like, I interacted with Sarvesh little late in my career, but I have been using Internshala as a product since 2017. And I have a huge respect for Sarvesh as well as this entire product and the team. What you guys have created is truly transformational. Like, for especially for a startup who are doing 0 to 1, who have no resources in terms of capital, in terms of talent. Interns are the lifeline of the startups. And I started my first company back in college, but it was a small initiative. But in 2017 I came to know about Internshala, and because of first few set of interns, we could able to build the technology stack on which currently PW is running. So yeah, super high respect for what you have done, Sarvesh.
Thank you so much, Prateek. And that was my first question also. Why and when did you start thinking to build with interns? And how has been the journey of building with interns, and what has been your experience? Brief में आप हमारी community को बताएंगे. I think that will be super useful.
Sure. So 2017 में Sarvesh, मेरा अपना food tech venture wrap up किया था Bangalore से, and I was about to join some startup. Then I thought कि let's give one more try, or I'll start a edtech company this time. So 2017 में since I shut down एक startup बंद किया था, तो बहुत सारा डेट था, बहुत सारा प्रेशर था, फ्रेंड्स, फैमिली, सबसे, तो बिल्कुल कैपिटल नहीं थी. तो इट वाज नो अदर ऑप्शन बैक देन, कि अभी कैसे स्टार्ट करें. wanted to start a SaaS company back then, और SaaS के लिए you have to hire a very good tech talent, and tech talent is it was a chicken egg problem कि यार अच्छा talent नहीं होगा तो अच्छा product नहीं बनेगा, अच्छा product नहीं होगा तो customer नहीं आएंगे. तो someone suggested, one of our very good friend, fellow entrepreneur suggested, why don't you try Internshala? You can hire a very good interns. By the way, before hiring interns, I actually tried contacting some college folks back from PHU, IIT PHU, but that didn't work well for me. So मुझे लगा यार अब कैसे होगा. So Internshala के ऊपर I floated multiple applications, and not by choice, but like it was no option back then to use Internshala as a platform to hire. And actually, first 10 people in the pen pencil were hired through your platform only. So that's how I started.
Right. And in one of our conversation, you also told that how these people carried forward to PhysicsWallah, and the PhysicsWallah के CTO हैं, Mr. Devesh. He was also an intern that was hired from Internshala. तो बहुत ही unique story है कि एक unicorn company है, and whose CTO actually started as an intern in that company or the sister company. So maybe just tell us a bit about that. And I've heard so many other stories also of category leaders at PhysicsWallah who started as interns or freshers at PhysicsWallah and then eventually became category leaders. So maybe tell us a bit about that also.
Sure. Parth in the chat is writing, I also joined through Internshala. Right, Parth, I only took your interview. You are probably the last set of interview which I took. So देवेश की स्टोरी बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है. 2017 दिसंबर में, when I thought कि अभी पूरा फ्रंट एंड बैक एंड हमको खुद ही बनाना है, तो I float an application on Internshala. मैं देवेश से मिला. He was not वो किसी प्रीमियम बीटेक कॉलेज से नहीं था. वो उसने इनफैक्ट बीटेक भी नहीं कर रही थी, वो एमसीए परस्यू कर रहा था. But I was really impressed with his projects which he did. और मुझे लगा he's a very practical coder, और जिस तरह की बात वो कर रहा है, जिस तरह का skills उसने डेवलप कर रखा है, वो आपको इंडस्ट्री के अंदर while spending 10-20 lakh rupees में भी आपको नहीं मिल सकता. So मैंने कहा यार दिवेश, come join us, I can give you 12,000 rupees. दिवेश बोला नहीं, मुझे 20,000 रुपए चाहिए. और काफी देर तक 1 घंटे हमने इसी पे बात करी, विजन पे, और काफी उसको सेल करना पड़ा. देन फाइनली वी सेटल्ड कि यार 15,000 रुपए से ज्यादा तो मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगा तुम्हें. तो देन ही आल्सो लाइक द वाइब कि यार चलो ठीक है, यहाँ पे कुछ नया सीखने को मिलेगा. एक्चुअली इट वाज हिज लास्ट सेमेस्टर. उस सेमेस्टर के साथ साथ में ही उसने कोड करना स्टार्ट किया. And now it's been 6 years with him, amazing journey. हमने साथ में बहुत सारे ups, downs, सारी चीजें देखी. But one thing is what I have learned from this entire process is trust on the skills, not on the pedigree. Trust on your folks rather than the folks of the outside world. Or eventually from tech we have designed India's biggest classrooms. मतलब एक classroom में 2 लाख बच्चे साथ में बैठ के पढ़ रहे हैं. This technology is not with any other edtech of India, or not even in general. It's a very tough technical problem to solve, or that could have happened only because of the team which I have trusted. So from interns to CTO की बहुत ही amazing journey है. Now he's handling a team of 300 people with him. A lot of folks from a premium engineering colleges are reporting to him, and he have maintained a great culture in the company, and the same culture I have propagated in the team also. We don't promote people on based on their pedigree. It's just their talent, and talent can be found anywhere, and that's what the called for.
Yeah. And I think that's the most inspiring story that I ever heard, and I want to reiterate that for the audience. That please remember the CTO of India's largest edtech company, and who's built a product that is not available anywhere in the world, started as an intern, right? That's the kind of wonder interns can do to the company. And Internshala itself has been built by a team of interns. In the interest of time, I won't spend time telling about Internshala story. We'll focus entirely on PhysicsWallah story. So, sir, I just wanted to ask you one of the common questions that we get is how do we convert? So, what is the process of finding these rough diamonds, if I may call them, right? Because intern hiring, screening, and a lot of times people get lost there. That there's so many applications that come in. How do I know who's the right fit for me? So, you have been hiring interns. You were relying on interns extensively in your 0 to 1 journey. So what has been your process of hiring and screening, shortlisting these candidates so that you get the best out of these interns?
So one thing is hiring is always been difficult. Whether you hire intern or you hire regular employees, it's a game of a probability. Whether you like the candidate likes you. But like we hear this out a lot कि like hiring is tough, Internshala से करें या कहीं से और से करें interns hire. It's been like अच्छा talent नहीं मिलता. तो अच्छा talent तो regular employees में नहीं मिलता, लेकिन आपको effort डालना पड़ता है. Sometimes hiring interns के अंदर people don't put the right effort to find those interns. Like when we hire interns, we see कि यार future के अंदर ये potential leader बनेगा हमारे company में. ये PPO लेकर के हमारे यहाँ join करेगा. तो we see from the optics कि यार ये तो मेरा core team member है. Hiring के अराउंड like thanks to the reach कि Internshala आपको बहुत variety of profiles दे देता है. But like you have to put in efforts to shortlist those profiles, give assignment to those folks, be responsive in terms of checking and talking to those folks. Mass mailing का option है, chatting का option है candidates के साथ में. तो वो सारी चीजें मतलब already available है, तो use that in extensively. Hire candid questions from the candidates कि यार पूछो कि वो क्यों करना चाह रहा है, एक्सपीरियंस के लिए करना चाह रहा है, सर्टिफिकेट के लिए करना चाह रहा है, जॉब के लिए करना चाह रहा है, मतलब क्या अल्टीमेटली उसका मोटिव है बिहाइंड इट. वो मोटिव आपके मोटिव से अलाइन होता है कि नहीं होता है. लाइक समटाइम्स वी हैव रिफ्यूज कैंडिडेट्स जो कि बहुत दूर वाली लोकेशन से थे. in the pressure of finding an internship they may say yes, but like it's very difficult to commute for so fast, like and sometimes we have selected candidates based on their intent. Like one of our senior QA engineer, like Internshala से हमने hire किया, so he came to office और उसको हमने assignment दिया. वो assignment नहीं भी कर पाया पूरे दिन में. मतलब like on a scale of 10 उसको मैं 0 ही दूंगा in assignment. अच्छा. Nitish is his name, like he's a senior QA engineer with us. But उसका intent मुझे इतना अच्छा लगा कि like he just said कि नहीं sir, give me a job like for free, but मैं सीखना चाहता हूँ, मैं करना चाहता हूँ. तो उसमें वो purity थी. और फिर मैं कहा नहीं हम फ्री में तो नहीं रखेंगे, we will of course give you a basic stipend and let's try for 1 month. और he was a mechanical engineer, wanted to do something in tech, तो मुझे वो भी एंगल लगा कि यार हाँ यार I am also a mechanical engineer, nobody supported me. एक बड़ा ये prejudice हो जाता है आपका कि यार mechanical engineering करी है तो कैसे click करेगा. And now he's like after serving multiple clients in pen pencil, everyone used to give me a feedback about Nitish ki yaar nahi, like high intent guy, or like he's amazing fellow. And like he's playing a very important role currently in our QA team, like because he knows the product from in and out. वो हमारे साथ grow किया है, product के साथ साथ तो उसकी भी learnings grow हुई है. तो sometimes intent is also very important, like intern का intent क्या है, like how much commitment he is willing to give.
So sir, have you been able to codify this? Because rightly said ना कि will over skill basically. आप ये बोल रहे हैं intent is far more important than degree or skills, right? So have you been to sort of codify कि how do you assess for intent? As you rightly said, sometimes बोलने के लिए लोग कुछ भी बोल देते हैं. हालांकि वो मुझे मेरे experience में with students this problem is less. They are far more honest than experienced professionals because अभी भी कुछ purity उन्हें बची हुई है ना, the young heart and the दिल से बात करते हैं. But have you been able to sort of processize कि ये process follow करेंगे तो intent ज़्यादा बच जाएगा.
So that's the idea of like hiring intent is to interns is to find intent, like आप internship में आप उनसे एक lighter engagement करके final future prospect of employees ही देख रहे होते हो, right? So internship में you should be able to take more risk in terms of candidate. और there is no fixed formula. आप कभी भी intent judge नहीं कर सकते unless you work with them. So that is the idea of like hiring internship, hire interns in your company. When you work with them, then only you will know their potential. So give chance to more and more people. And intent should be from both the sides. Like company should also have a mindset कि यार मैं intern को मेरे पेपर वर्क के लिए नहीं हायर कर रहा हूँ, मैं कोडर या फ्यूचर लीडर देखता हूँ. And the best part about interns is कि they come with a fresh perspective. वो एक प्रॉब्लम को लेके आते हैं, वो एक नया एंगल से उसको सॉल्व करते हैं, जो कि आपको एक ट्रेडिशनल जो एम्प्लॉई है वो मतलब वो काइंड ऑफ रोट लर्निंग यूज करता है. तो उस एंगल से भी मतलब कई बार आपको बहुत फ्रेश सॉल्यूशंस और प्रॉब्लम मिलते हैं. तो कंपनी की तरफ से भी इंटेंट बहुत जरूरी है, नॉट जस्ट द इंटेंट फ्रॉम द इंटर्न्स टू सी पोटेंशियल एंड एम्पावर देम.
Correct. I think that's a beautiful way you summed it up. कि the intent is not a one-way street; it's a two-way street. अगर आपकी तरफ से वो commitment दिख रहा है as an employer कि you want to invest in their growth and you want to evaluate them thoroughly and fully and mentor them well, that's when the wonders happen. Which is what I've seen at Internshala also. But like again, just diving deep into this question of finding the best interns, because yes, you're right. Internship itself is evaluation, right? Even for that evaluation, you want to get good people through the door, so that you are not spending time on not so good people. At Internship, for example, we have this 3H framework: honesty, hard work, and humility, right? इन तीनों में से मुझे हमें कहीं भी red flag दिखता है when we speak with them about their life experiences. If they have been dishonest or they're not done, there's no example of hard work from their life. Yeah, they're not humble. Then we sort of say, maybe this is not the person we want to work with. So are there any specific traits that you look for when you speak to candidates? And I know it's been a while you have interviewed any intern, etc. But when you were back hiring interns, were there any specific qualities that you used to look for in interns?
So in terms of quality, one thing is how badly they want to do this. उनके अंदर perseverance कितना है, मतलब कितना जरूरी है उनके लिए करना. If it's for certificates, generally since I wanted to consume them in the company, so for a short term I never hired from Internshala. I always hired for a long term. And from a quality standpoint, learning is very important. And assignments में वो कितना effort डाल रहा है. So Supercharging is one such intern. Again, she's a very important role in our QA. I just sent her our PW application and मैंने बोला इसमें से bugs आप ढूंढ के बताओ, and she did a fantastic job. मुझे लगा है तो मेरे regular employees से ज़्यादा अच्छा उसने assignment करके दिया है, तो that was very clear, उसके बाद तो कोई interview round की जरूरत ही नहीं बच गई थी. And तो वो आपको दिख जाता है कि
hunger in the balance,
the commitment कितना है candidate के अंदर, अभी and it was one assignment stood out among all the folks which किसी ने 2 लेटर लिख के भेज दिए, किसी ने कुछ भी लिख के भेज दिया, लेकिन ऊपर से टेस्टिंग कर ली. And she is still with us, she is still a very important team member in the QA team. So मुझे लगता है कि perseverance और hard work को मैं सबसे ऊपर रखूंगा, in job 3H बताएं. And with time बाकी 2 पे काम किया जा सकता है, but और ये अगर early symptoms दिखते हैं हमें तो one should go ahead with the interns.
Sure, perfect. आपने one of your interns जो QA के लिए आया था उसने बोला कि मैं फ्री में भी काम कर लूंगा and will give a stipend. आपने stipend का point raise किया and I want to ask this question because paid versus unpaid internship is a burning question in the country despite several, and obviously Internship does not allow unpaid internship because we believe a stipend goes a long way. कि दोनों तरफ से commitment रहे, दोनों तरफ से output आए, दोनों तरफ से ownership रहे. But again, the most common question that we get from our employers is, what's the right stipend to be paid to the interns? First of all, should they be paid an stipend? First question. And secondly, if yes, what's the right amount? And because a lot of people, I don't want them to see interns as cheap labor. So again, at the same time, it's not the money that you would come for internship to. But in your opinion, should interns be paid? And what's the right stipend? And how does the entrepreneur decide the stipend that they should pay to an intern?
So right, Sarvesh, this is a very relevant question. So stipend is a good question, for startups who are struggling with the cash flows or as well as early stage companies. But stipend so for matter of fact, we never hired an intern without a stipend. We always used to give stipend back in those days जहाँ पे हमारे पास में बिल्कुल भी पैसे नहीं होते थे. Because it shows a commitment and it gives you a lock-in also. लेकिन अदरवाइज वो अभी फ्री में आपके पास इंटर्नशिप कर रहा है, 1 महीने बाद में उसके कैंडिडेट को लगेगा कि यार कहीं और ट्राई कर लेता हूँ. इतना काम करने के बाद में भी खुद से आने जाने के पैसे देने पड़ रहे हैं और लेकिन पीजी में भी रहता हूँ, उसका भी बहुत खर्चा है. तो स्टाइपेंड इज अ स्मॉल कमिटमेंट which a company should always give. From a learner's point of view, learning is more important. के अंदर people who are doing internship for the first or the second time, for them what is more important is the nature of the work. A few thousand here and there will not change your life until your employer is committed enough and his intent is right, the quality of work or the kind of learning you are getting at the work. that is more important, in my sense. But from a company standpoint, one should always have a paid internship. From a student point of view, I think they should focus more on learning than stipend. So don't sort the internship by low to high, high to low next time.
एक क्वेश्चन भी है जो हमारे ऑडियंस से आया है, उदित बंसल ने पूछा. I'll come to that question right away. It's a very relevant question. पर उससे पहले मैं पूछा था, like एक 0 to 1 जर्नी में जो फाउंडर है, अब as we'll all always want to optimize for every penny, every cash flow. But then how do I decide? तो interns तो 5,000 में भी आ जाएंगे, 10,000 में भी आ जाएंगे, 15,000 में भी आ जाएंगे, right? So how do I decide what's the stipend that I should offer? Who's the minimum that you should, like, how did you arrive at that number when you didn't have any cash flow?
So I always had this formula कि यार first is तो market benchmark क्या है, but second is कि यार internship के अंदर student की aspect होता है कि यार मैं ना financially independence सीख कर लूँ घर से.
Correct.
तो अगर मैं वो एलिमेंट अचीव कर पाता अगर किसी इंटर्न के लिए, मतलब तो दैट इज माय ट्रिपिंग पॉइंट कि यार एटलीस्ट मैं इसको फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस तो दे दूं. He should not take money from the home for his day-to-day expenses or his PG, his travel or his well-being. So that independence is something companies should focus because that gives a lot of confidence in terms of intern also. Yeah, I am self-funded.
Correct.
Apart from this, like industry benchmark is good. And in the Q&A, someone have written that how you retain interns for a long time. So you have to give them growth. To Devesh या सुप्रजा या नितेश जितने भी लोग आए, उनको हमने बहुत अच्छी ग्रोथ दी. We gave them growth in every 6 months. और if you are not giving them growth, be candid about it and tell them कि यार ठीक है, मतलब लर्निंग में जब ग्रोथ हो रही है, फाइनेंशियली ग्रोथ नहीं हो पा रही है, तो आप कहीं और बाहर देख सकते हैं. लेकिन बट अगर आप कैंडिड कन्वर्सेशन करेंगे तो उनको भी कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा कि यार कंपनी इज इन द राइट डायरेक्शन, आज नहीं कल ग्रोथ हो जाएगी. सो एवरी 6 मंथ्स वी गिव देम ग्रोथ, learning as well as financial both growth. So that is the only way out there, to retain them. And so the arbitrage is very high, the interns versus. So very soon those interns will gets converted into a regular employee. And you have to match the industry level packages.
Correct.
That's the
So just to sum up the 2 key points from Prateek's answer. One is industry benchmarking, and I just want to let everybody know that on Internshala now, every time you list an internship or job, we have introduced a feature called what others are paying. यहाँ पे आपको दिखाते हैं कि 50% median stipend क्या है उस प्रोफाइल उस लोकेशन के लिए, 75% क्या है. So that sort of is a very quick way for you to benchmark. मुझे top 10% में रहना है, top 25% में रहना है, median से ऊपर रहना है. And then I always recommend कि at least median से तो ऊपर रहो, because if you're below median, then like a good company, good talent also has multiple options to choose from, which always goes both ways. So that's one is industry benchmarking, and secondly, the point on the financial independence is exactly the same framework that we also use at Internshala. For example, we say if somebody were to come from say Patna and work as an intern with us in Gurgaon, उसका 9,000 रुपये का पीजी का एक्सपेंस रहेगा, 3-4,000 रुपये का कम्यूट रहेगा, 5,000 रुपये उसका और खाने पीना खर्चा आएगा. तो इसे कि 20,000 rupees for us, 18,000 rupees for us is a stipend that we should offer. And I think that's a good framework. कि nobody is coming for money, but at the same time you don't want them to be borrowing money from their friends or spending money from their pocket to do your internship. Essentially, it's a framework that we also use. And since you spoke about कि वो stipend को हमने filter भी दे दिया, sort भी दे दिया, अब तो लोग वो ना करते. उदित ये क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं कि without any exposure, and आज पे जो the way it is in the market, right? Everybody is so money driven, and social media पे there's so much FOMO about how much you're earning, and there are influencers who say become a millionaire by 21. अगर नहीं हो तो your life is waste. So that mentality has changed, right? So a lot of interns, because they're young and impressionable, they get driven really a lot by the stipend amount and start evaluating internship solely based on the stipend amount, right? In that case, as an entrepreneur, how do I highlight the other aspects of my internship program, because of which somebody should choose me? If everybody is driven by how do I break out of the clutter? Yeah, I'm not offering the best stipend, but still, this is the better opportunity for you than an opportunity that is offering you maybe better stipend. So what can a founder do or an HR do to sort of project the internship program as a quality internship program when obviously it's not the topmost stipend that they are offering? And what advice would you have for interns? Because you have a huge fan following and alag sir to millions mein students who are entering the workforce. What advice would you give to the interns who are sort of looking for interns? Advice to founders as well as advice to the interns.
So, like, founder, I have seen the entire journey from 0 to 1 and now 1 to 10. Like, hiring intern in a
10 to 100, sir, not 1 to 10. Not 10 to 100.
So like, see, hiring when your company strength is less than 5 employees, like, so that hiring becomes very different than when you have a 10,000 employee currently in PW. But advice to founders is, like, your early team is the closest partner, and there you have to see, like, culture fit. There you have to see, like, how long you can take this talent along with you, and treating them well, giving them visibility, like, what are the things you are learning, and, like, giving them making them realizing that you are working in a small company, but the high side and the potential of, like, having high impact and high net worth in a small company is much more as compared to if you join a MNC. जो काम आप अभी currently, like, पेन पेंसिल या PW में कर रहे हो, like, probably आप एक MNC में जाने के बाद में शायद 10 साल में भी ये काम आपका कोड कभी लाइव नहीं होगा, आप अपने कोड को भी चलते हुए नहीं देखोगे, आप कभी भी उस पर ट्रैफिक आते हुए नहीं देखोगे, like, आप 50% of the actual सर्विस कंपनीज वर्क शेल्फ हो जाता है, ठीक है ना? तो अल्टीमेटली आप जो कर रहे हो, जो आप सीख रहे हो, वो आपको एक 6 साल बाद TCS इंजीनियर या इन्फोसिस इंजीनियर से बहुत ज्यादा आप स्किल सीख ले रहे हो. दैट्स द सेलिंग पॉइंट. लाइक, यहाँ पे आप प्रोडक्ट भी सीख रहे हो, QA भी सीख रहे हो, सेल्स भी सीख रहे हो, एक ही कमरे में सारी चीजें बैठी हुई है, आपको एक होलिस्टिक आइडिया लग रहा है.
Correct.
And that is a very rare skill. You are getting more skillful than XYZ company. हाँ, ठीक है, आपका सैलरी उनसे कम है, but अभी के लिए कम है, right? फ्यूचर के अंदर if you start your own company or you join these organizations, तो भी आपको बहुत अच्छा एक्सपोजर रहेगा. You not only, like, piece of code, but आप प्रोडक्ट के अंदर भी कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाओगे, आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट भी कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाओगे.
Correct.
So that's worked really well for us. And actually, we actually gave them a tough technical assignments over the period of time. Sales वालों के लिए हमने proper training modules बनाए, उनको time दिया. तो उस वजह से, like, so these things are, and some advices for the founders, like, आप so you need to understand कि आप उनको थोड़ा stipend कम दे रहे हैं, या फिर आप उनको employee की तरह काम करा रहे हैं, तो आपको अदर एस्पेक्ट्स में उनकी ग्रूमिंग में थोड़ा इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, उनके साथ थोड़ा टाइम स्पेंड करना पड़ेगा, और, लेकिन उनको ओवरऑल पिक्चर और मार्केट और सिनेरियो इन सब चीजों के बारे में बताना पड़ेगा. स्टूडेंट साइड से, like, stipend is an important indicator of commitment from a company, like, so but, like, learning is something you will realize once you enter into the environment. Before and after के अंदर अपने आप में आप changes देखोगे, ठीक है ना? And always discuss with your peers what kind of work they are doing.
Correct.
And is it really aligning with your future goals? आप वो काम कर रहे हो उस internship में, वो किस तरह की skills उसके अंदर आ रही है? Like, जैसे Parth is in chat, and, like, when he gave the interview, मतलब he didn't say any single word, वो कुछ बोला ही नहीं था. And then finally मैंने उसको उसके साइलेंस के लिए हायर कर लिया. मैंने कहा, यार बड़ा ही साइलेंट बंदा है, कुछ डीप हो गया ये. And so but, like, फिर 6 months बाद मैंने उससे पूछा कि यार कैसा चल रहा है, क्या है, तो उसने बोला, यार like, मुझे बहुत मजा आ रहा है, like, I am working with so many teams. पहले मैं बहुत शाय था, अब, like, now I am, like, आउटगोइंग, मैं बात कर पा रहा हूँ, अपनी बात समझा पा रहा हूँ. तो वो सारे चेंजेस कैंडिडेट को अपने अंदर दिखने लग जाएंगे, उनके पीयर्स के अंदर दिखने लग जाएंगे, ठीक है ना? तो मुझे लगता है कि you should value those skill development rather than stipend. Like, money will follow you. Like, अच्छे टैलेंट को अच्छी कंपनीज कहीं से भी ढूंढ के हायर कर लेंगी, but ये skill development is solely your responsibility. Company, one company gives same environment and same platform to 2 employees. One take it up and, like, outperform, and other just, like, hover around. तो वो तो आप ही को करना पड़ेगा, एंड स्किल्स को ही इंपॉर्टेंस आपको देनी चाहिए अगर ट्रेड ऑफ आपको मिलता है. कि यार दो जगह मुझे सेम स्टाइपेंड मिल रहा है, लेकिन वो बड़ी यहाँ पे ज्यादा स्किल्स मिल रही है, यहाँ पे ज्यादा अच्छा काम मिल रहा है, तो फिर आपको बिल्कुल एंड लेकिन वो थंब रूल की इफ दे आर ट्रीटिंग यू लाइक अ एम्प्लॉई then you are in a great place. लेकिन अगर वो आपको एम्प्लॉय की तरह ट्रीट कर रहे हैं, वही लेवल का काम दे रहे हैं, तो you are at a very good place.
Yeah. There's so much emotion attached to intern hiring. Obviously, for me, because I run Internshala, and I see that reflected in you. I would have been a part of silence play hire player. How many entrepreneurs? Because entrepreneurship was a very emotional journey, right? That internship and entrepreneurship are in a way similar, but there are a lot of emotions attached and a lot of these heart-based, gut-based decisions attached to the entire process. I just want to add my sense to this problem for the founders. Ki, at the end of the day, we are as entrepreneurs, we are always selling ourselves. We are selling to customers, we are selling to team members, we are selling to investors. And the same is true for interns also. We have to sell our story. And Internshala, what I've seen is, if I, even today, the JD that you publish, job description, is written in a very creative way. So, padh ke maza aaya. And that is your opportunity to sell. So even if you are not offering the best stipend, but at least show them that you care them about enough about them to write a JD which speaks to them in their language and speaks about their growth, right? So I often tell my team कि stipend तो 2000 पे कम कर दो, पर JD अच्छा लिखो, because interns would really value that. Experience वाले ना करें. So I think that's one opportunity where just by being unique in the job description, the way you write it, you can stand out from companies who are paying a lot but have a very mechanical job description. So I think I just wanted to add that to this. And you already covered quite a bit of it. Once they are in, how do you give them growth and how do you mentor them? So is there a set protocol or a template that every hiring manager at PW, obviously when you were hiring back then and now every hiring manager has to follow in terms of how do you mentor those interns that you onboard so that you can get a lot more Devesh, Parth, Supraja, Mukesh on an ongoing basis, and that doesn't become a history. It keeps happening every now and then.
So, couple of things. One thing is empower them with the right kind of work. आप उनको challenges, just give them challenges. Give them problems जो कि काफी unique in nature हो. जब तक आप अपने interns को problems ही नहीं देंगे, तब तक आपको उनका true potential ही नहीं पता चलेगा. A lot of good talent just wait for the right kind of problems in especially the internship environment. And grooming के लिए मुझे लगता है on job grooming से अच्छी कोई grooming हो ही नहीं सकती. आप corporate learning आप किसी classroom में नहीं सिखा सकते. You have to give the corporate environment. You have to give a production level work and the problem statement for them. For example, a BD intern को आप actual में market में भेजो. Just push them to do tough tasks or just make them realize कि यार you are no less than the rest of the world. सबके साथ में यही process होता है. सब लोग करके ही सीखते हैं. लेकिन आपको चाहिए तो मैं आपको करके दिखाता हूँ. तो देख लो. तो अगर ये टेम्पलेट हम लोग फॉलो करेंगे, लेकिन ऑन जॉब लर्निंग का तो मुझे लगता है काफी उससे इंटर्न्स को भी और फाउंडर्स को भी दोनों को भी मतलब देखिए ना काफी हेल्प मिलेगी. Raise the bar if you see the potential in the candidate. Never hesitate to put an intern above you're a regular employee. अगर आपको लगता है इंटर्न में इतना टैलेंट है, अगर आप उसको रेगुलर बना रहे हो तो आप उसको रेगुलर एम्प्लॉइज की रिपोर्टिंग उनको दे सकते हो. लेकिन तो टैलेंट बेस अगर आप उसको अपलिफ्ट करते रहोगे तो आई थिंक they will get a better chance, better visibility.
How do you develop this courage?
So back then I had no other option. मेरे पास तो ऑप्शन भी नहीं था. But
इतना important responsibility दूंगी, इतना important project उनको दे दूंगी. और founders ने भी है this mindset कि यार मैंने intern को दे दिया, मेरा क्लाइंट भाग जाएगा या मेरा प्रोडक्ट इतना अच्छा नहीं बनेगा. तो वो कन्विक्शन कहाँ से आता है आपके अंदर? Where do you get this conviction from कि yes I can?
मेरे पास में ऑप्शन नहीं था बहुत ज़्यादा. But still, we have retained this culture now for the next business leader also. We tell here hire interns. So recently I gave a mandate to our HR head कि यार I want 100 interns in the company. आप 3 महीने काम करके 100 interns लाके दो मुझे हर डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर. Source it from all the platforms. तो this is
from Internshala fees.
नहीं, we are regular partner of Internshala. तो ये करेज मेरे पास तो ऑप्शन ही नहीं था, मतलब frankly. बट जब मैंने उन लोगों को कंपनी को ट्रांसफॉर्म करते हुए देखा तो मुझे लगा यार दिस इज द बेस्ट वे, ठीक है ना. और स्पेशली फॉर द न्यू इनिशिएटिव्स, इंटर्न वर्क्स लाइक अ वंडर. जहाँ किसी को कुछ नहीं पता कि क्या करना है, ठीक है ना, वहां पे आप इंटर्न्स को डालो, ठीक है ना. वहां पे तो आपको भी नहीं पता क्या करना है, so like, you know, let a fresh guy come and explore and identify what needs to be done, and he will grow along with that initiative.
Correct. There's a question from Shafaf which has been answered, which is exactly this: can a startup rely completely on interns taking up different and bigger roles at the start? And so can a startup entirely trust its fate in the hand of interns?
So that's a very subjective question. Like, you know, answer is no, you cannot rely completely. Like, you know, but depends, like, you know, on your situation, on your cash flows, on the size of the company, and the quality of intern as well. Like, you know, what kind of quality people. You know, ultimately, they are people, right? Like, you know, so you are trusting the people. If they are right people, like, you know, with the right culture, definitely you can trust them, but entirely depend on your size and the level of the company you are. But for a 0 to 1 company, we have a case study where we have built the company 0 to 1 journey from interns. So, like, you know, definitely for a 0 to 1 company.
Yeah, right. From my side, last 2 questions before we open up it for the audience.
And Internshala is the classic example, like, you know, the product, everything. Definitely, they are great leaders who are very experienced and mature, but majorly, like, you know, the majority of the 80-90% workforce is interns right out there.
Correct. So in fact, Internshala, we are about 300 people and 250 of them started as interns. So we often say Internshala is of the interns, for the interns, and by the interns. So right now in this frame, we have 2 examples. One is PhysicsWallah and another is Internshala, which have been 0 to 1 journey and even 1 to 5, 10 journey. Interns have played a big role, and they continue to play the big role even today as we scale across the departments. We only hire interns, groom them, and grow them vertically. 2 questions from my side, before I open the floor to the audience. And one of the questions is from the audience. Earlier we collected the question from the audience. How to work with interns who otherwise do well but don't show up on time? Discipline versus output, this is a common question. अगर बाकी employees के साथ भी आता है कि काम अच्छा कर रहा है पर जो basic discipline that expected है कि time पे show up करो, and they don't do that. So what should we do in that case? Because on one hand output wise देखो तो सही है, input wise देखो तो पर वो कंपनी में कहीं ना कहीं वो हर्ट कर रहा है कि वो एक बंदा टाइम पे नहीं आता है.
So personal level पे you should be flexible, like, you know, with interns, like, you know, अगर वो काम अच्छा कर रहा है तो there is no point at all, and that's how the company of that's how the culture of PW have derived, क्योंकि it's always a meritorious culture. तो flexible work timings, time पे show नहीं हो रहा है, and we always have to keep in mind कि they are, like, you know, someone who is just fresh out of the college or studying in college. तो corporate level का discipline expect करना is not right. So you should judge on the basis of the outcome of the task given to them, rather than being on time or, like, you know, punching on time. If that's my personal view. And what was the next question?
And I think there's a create problems with because obviously as a single founder, small team, this works because everybody understands everybody. But as the company scales, then, you know, people don't understand these dynamics, and somebody says I'm being asked to come on time while others don't come, and, you know, the meetings can't have start on time because somebody is showing up at 3 p.m. and I'm showing at 12 p.m. So some sort of common ground needs to be achieved. But I think that's a question for later when you sort of cross that stage and when you come to that journey. So at some point, does discipline become important?
Yeah, but, like, you know, discipline, in my opinion, again very personal, it's like, you know, so discipline is very subjective, and the entire work, the entire industry and the corporate is moving taxi culture. Like, you know, that's why work from home internship is a very popular option on Internshala as well. So like, you know, I think like, you know, from a candidates, like, you know, so I think, like,
as long as they're delivering the promised outcome, I think we are
yes,
good.
right.
And not be too particular about input and then kitna time punch kar rahe ho, and then start measuring that wrong thing. While you should be measuring output and focusing on output, you start measuring a lot on the input. I think that makes sense. And the last question from my side is a very less spoken aspect of intern hiring is the impact it has on organization's culture. because interns are young, they are impressionable, they can be molded easily. So what has been your experience in terms of the impact interns had on the culture of the organization that you built? And had it been not for interns, do you imagine the culture would have been different? And was it easier, was it tougher to build the culture that you wanted to build because you had more interns in the mix or less interns in the mix?
So, I completely resonate. This is a very less talk topic, and but I do believe there is a great impact of having interns in your organization. I'll tell you a couple of examples. So, average age of the company becomes much lower, and once you hire interns, they are likely less. Or with a zero corporate politics, or they haven't seen that kind of stuff, so they are coming out for the college and they're always in their fun mood, or so that makes environment very light, or very young and bubbly. So company starts feeling young, once they have more and more interns on the floor. Yeah. Second thing is
and the founders also feel young.
And the second thing, founder starts feeling young as well. And second thing is the out of box solutions which they provide. Because if you are surrounded with the corporate people, they will give you orthodox solutions which they have tried in their previous job roles. But intern is fresh out of college. They may give you an absurd solution also, completely a stupid solution also. But sometimes they can give you a very wonderful idea of solving the problem as well. So that and once you start giving importance and merit to those ideas, the entire company's culture becomes कि यहाँ पे सबकी बात सुनी जाती है, एक intern आकर के भी impact create कर सकता है. So even regular employees become more empowered, feel more empowered. तो मुझे तो लगता है कि बहुत ही positive side impact रहता है interns का. And I got this feedback from one of my very good friend who's from IIM Ahmedabad and joined us. One thing is very amazing about PW is कि आपने इतने young minds को इतना empower किया है आपने, और वो इतना impact कर पा रहे हैं. This I haven't seen in my previous roles. कहीं भी मैंने ये चीज देखी ही नहीं थी कि इतना it's just you blindly trusted them, and and they delivered wonder to the organization. तो मुझे लगता है culture का बहुत ही positive side impact. And fundamentally, culture of the company is the reflection of the founder and the leadership also.
Correct.
So, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि interns के hire करने से culture खराब हो सकता है, तो you are at a completely wrong side of table. मतलब आप बहुत ही गलत सोच रहे हो कि culture तो ultimately reflection of you and your leadership है, ठीक है ना? But the positive aspects interns के थे, the young, the average age, the out of box ideas is something gives a great plus to startups or even to mature companies as well.
Sorry, Prateek, I just missed one last question that I really wanted to ask, and then I'll go to the audience question. How do you deal with heartbreaks in hiring? So no matter what you do, there will be times when interns won't show up for the interview or accept that they join नहीं करेंगे, especially when your company is not as well known as it is. Even then, maybe it may be happening. So a lot of founders at Internshala, I see that they try hiring interns, and one or two times they have these bad experiences. या तो intern ने join नहीं किया, या फिर join के छोड़ के चला गया, and then they give up on the whole idea of hiring interns. क्या नहीं हो सकता, I can't manage that. So have you faced those heartbreaks yourself? And
see, these heartbreaks, that's what I tell. ये heartbreaks regular hiring में भी होते हैं. But why you are just pointing out कि interns hiring में ही है, ठीक है? थोड़ा सा intern hiring के अंदर relatively थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो सकता है, क्योंकि थोड़ा high, job is a high stake game, and interns little lesser stake game. But it is a very regular process. When you hire tech talent, there are no shows. आप 100% growth भी देने को तैयार हो उनको, तब भी वो join नहीं करते हैं. But nobody talks about that because there's no alternate. But interns के साथ में हमेशा एक alternate होता है. अरे intern hire मत करो, regular employee hire करो. टीम लीडर्स के साथ में ये होता है कि अरे मुझे इंटर्न नहीं चाहिए यार, मुझे कोई एक्सपीरियंस बंदा चाहिए, क्योंकि मुझे पेन नहीं लेना उसको सिखाने का. तो so these things pops up to me also, and I always say कि यार नहीं, this is your job to train them, and mold them for your work. And heartbreaks are common, life में भी होते हैं heartbreaks.
हाँ, very true. So life में dating में भी हार्ट ब्रेक होते हैं तो इंटर्नशिप में भी हो रहे तो
हाँ, तो कॉमन है, मतलब इतना तो एडजस्ट करो, कंपनी चला रहे हो आप तो.
हाँ, correct, makes sense. All right.